This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi. Parshas Vayeishev. We have a very interesting topic at hand, but we're going to begin with a few important tidbits. The Parsha begins, thank you. Yisrael Ahav es Yosef mikol banav ki ben zekunim hulai. Yaakov loved Yosef from all his children because Yosef was the ben zekunim. Yosef was the son born in his old age. Yaakov was already an old man when Yosef was born. Of course, we know Yosef was child number 11, right? Number 11. And Yaakov, every parent loves his child, but however, the one that's born when you're already older, and that child is the youngest, you have a special affection to them. But what all the Rishonim ask is, wait a second, Yosef was not the youngest child. Binyamin's the youngest child. Binyamin was born years after Yosef. Yaakov was much older when Binyamin was born. So why exactly does the Torah say that? And why did Yaakov love Yosef more than all the others? What about Binyamin? Binyamin is more of a ben zekunim. So the Rashbam explains, very interesting answer. The Rashbam gives you a psychological answer, gives you an insight into the human psyche, human dynamics. He says like this, he says, Yosef was born as part of the sequence of all the other brothers, right? Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. And then they were all born basically in one period. Yosef was born last. Yosef was the ben zekunim. At that point, who did Yaakov Avinu love the most? Yosef. How long did Yosef enjoy that status for? He said 8 years, different. For many, many years. By the time Binyamin was born already, Yosef was so well established as the ben zekunim, his ava was so seeped into the heart of Yaakov. Yaakov had already become accustomed to loving Yosef so much that Binyamin could not uproot the status of ben zekunim that Yosef achieved. Okay, that's what the Rashbam writes. Look at Rashbam, Rav Shmuel ben Meir, right? Rav Shmuel ben Meir was the grandson of Rashi. Rashi had a daughter, Yocheved, and Rashi's daughter Yocheved had a son, Rav Shmuel, the Rashbam, right? The Rashbam was the brother of Rabbeinu Tam, and we know in Masechta Bava Basra, in the last parak of Psachim, we have the Perish HaRashbam on Shas. Right? He was born in 1085. He passed away 1174. So he lived a very, very long life for the times of the Rishonim. So Rashbam writes, Ki achroin hoya liachad asar banim. Yosef was the last of the 11. Avo Binyamin loy noilad achrichein azman merubah. Binyamin was not born till a long time later. V'harbe koidim shenolad Binyamin hoya loy ben zekunim. And before Binyamin was born, Yosef was already the ben zekunim behischel avay. And Yaakov had already begun to love Yosef, so Binyamin never had a chance to usurp the status of being the ben zekunim. Says the Chizkuni, one of the Rishonim, we know almost nothing about the personal life of the Chizkuni. He was born in 1250, and the Chizkuni's shita was, he does not quote sources. Does not quote sources. That was his shita. He's not trying to take anybody else's thunder. He does not quote sources except for Rashi. And he writes in his introduction that he doesn't quote sources for a reason. Because, people judge things based on who said it, and not based on its inherent quality. I could spin to you the biggest Baba Mice and right? You blame it on the Chassam Sofer and it sells, right? Any people come to me, you heard what the Chassam Sofer says? Any crazy thing that they blame on different Gedalim, right? So Chizkuni says, I want you to be judge the message, the content based on its inherent value rather than on who said it. Okay, this is not necessarily the mainstream view on this issue, but that was the view of the Chizkuni, and he did not quote sources. Okay, in any event, Chizkuni asks, why was Yosef the ben zekunim? What about Binyamin? Says the Chizkuni also, very powerful idea. He says that there was a problem with Binyamin. Because Binyamin's birth was associated with the death of Rachel. So Yaakov was not able to engender the same love for Binyamin as with Yosef, because
blaming for the loss of his wife.
not blaming him. It's just natural. His birth was associated again Ben Oini. And Yaakov didn't want to give the name Ben Oini, right? She called him Ben Oini. Yaakov called Binyamin, son of my strength. But nevertheless, says the Chizkuni, the death of Rachel was associated with the birth of Binyamin, and that's why Binyamin never attained the status of Ben Zekunim that Yosef attained. Okay, let's move on a little bit. We're going to go on to number 5. We'll come back. And if someone could just, if I could borrow this Chumash for a moment, and if you have a Chumash in front of you, then all the better. The Panim Yafos, the Hafla, writes that, Yosef is coming, and the brothers are plotting, they're conspiring against Yosef, and they say, hey, let's throw him into the pit. Pasuk Chaf, this is Parak Lamed Zayin, Pasuk Chaf. V'yata l'chuven argeo, now let's go kill him. V'nashlicheu, we'll throw him bi'achad habayros in one of the pits. V'amarnu, and we'll say, chaya ra achalasu, a wild animal ate him. V'nira, and we will see ma'yu chaloi moisav, what will be with his dreams.
Very sarcastic.
Very sarcastic. That's sarcasm. What? If you like sarcasm, that's sarcasm at its best. Right? So they said, let's go kill him, and we'll see what will be of his dreams. Right? You feel it dripping, right? Says Rashi, we tend to think this is the Shvatim talking. Says Rashi, this is not the Shvatim talking. This is Rebbeinu Shalom talking. The Shvatim say, let's kill him. God says, no. We have to see what will be with his dreams. You're not going to kill him. This is not the Shvatim talking. The end of the pasuk is a different speaker. The first part of the pasuk is the brothers are saying. Shimon is saying to Levi, let's go kill him. But the end of the pasuk is V'nira ma'yichal masav, Rebbeinu Shalom is talking. Ruach HaKodesh is talking. Let's see what will become of his dreams. Okay, right? You're familiar with that Rashi? It's a well-known Rashi, right? V'nira is, these are the words of the Rebbeinu Shalom. The next pasuk says, Vayishma Ruvain heard, Vayatzileo miyadam, and he saved Yosef. So we tend to think, what did Ruvain hear? He heard the brothers were trying to kill him. That's a simple pshat. Ruvain heard the brothers were trying to kill him. Says the Hafla in the name of his grandfather, no, that's not what it means. You know what it means, Ruvain heard? Ruvain heard the Baskal. Ruvain heard the heavenly voice that when the other brother said, let's kill him, the Baskal said, no. Let's see what will be with the dreams. And then Ruvain heard that Baskal. And he turns to Ruvain and he says, you hear anything? Actually, Ruvain wasn't there. He turns to Shimon. Right? Excuse me, this is Ruvain, right? He turns to Shimon. You hear anything? No. Levi, you hear anything? Sachar, you hear anything? Naphtali, wake up, you hear anything? God! Well, I didn't hear anything. And Ruvain says to himself the following, why am I hearing the Baskal and nobody else hears the Baskal? There's a Gemara in Masechta Tainis that says, Ilfa v'Rabbi Yochanan, Ilfa v'Rabbi Yochanan, they both had to go make a living, unfortunately. And they were in the yeshiva, they were learning, and look, they had to put food on the table. So they had to close the Gemara, and they had to go make a living. Daf Chaf Aleph. And the Gemara says, as they were going, the Malachei Hashares see these two Talmid Chachamim, leaving the Beis Medrash. So what happened? What do the Malachim say? Two angels came and said, let's take this bridge and throw it on their heads. You know why? Because they're Meinichin Chaye Olam Haba v'Oiskim B'Chaye Shah. They're leaving Torah and they're being involved in this temporal world. And then the other Malach said, no, leave them! Because one of these guys is going to be very successful one day, meaning in learning. So Ilfa, he looks at his sandwich, he doesn't see the sandwich talking. He looks at the fish isn't talking, right? Who's talking? Baskal. He says, Rabbi Yochanan. Excuse me.
Just open it.
Rabbi Yochanan heard, right? Rabbi Yochanan heard. He turns, Ilfa, you hear anything? Ilfa say, well, I didn't hear anything. So Rabbi Yochanan said, it must be, I'm the guy who's going to become the Rosh Hashiva. So Rabbi Yochanan goes back, he learns, he becomes the Rosh Hashiva. Why? Because when he realized he heard and nobody else heard, it must be the bas kol was addressed to him. So says the grandfather of the Hafla, the same way Rabbi Yochanan understood that if he's the only one who hears the bas kol is addressed to him. Ruvain hears the bas kol. Why didn't Yisachar hear it? Why didn't Gad hear it? Why didn't Naphtali hear it? It must be the Rebbeinu Shalom is directing Ruvain, you make sure that these dreams come true. Says the Hafla, look at number 5. Rashi explains the bas kol was the one who said, let's see what will be with the dreams. V'shamati Me'adenu avi ziknei zal Dahainu d'chsiv basar hachi vayishma Ruvain v'yasil miyadam. Al derech shomer Chazal, in the same vein that Chazal say Rabbi Yochanan and Ilfa, where Rabbi Yochanan heard and Ilfa didn't hear. So Rabbi Yochanan says, Ilfa, you hear anything? He said, no. So the Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan said, Mi d'shamay ana ve'ilfa lo shama shma mina l'didi kaima shaitei. So when Ruvain heard the bas kol and he saw they didn't hear, that's why Ruvain took the initiative to save Yosef. Okay, we move on a little bit further. How did Ruvain save him? Right? If we would just end the story right there, we would think Ruvain went, he took Yosef, he put him on a big chair, a throne, he carried him on his shoulders, and he brought him back to dad, back to pops. No, how did he save him? They took Yosef and they threw him into a pit. And the Gemara says, right? V'haba reik, ein boy mayim ein boy, avol nechashim akrabim yeshlam. So, wow, what a big hatzalah, right? What a mamish hatzalas nefashos, right? You take the guy, you throw him into a pit of snakes. What's the halacha? If you and your friends see a guy being thrown into a pit of snakes, what could you do then? You could go to Beis Din and testify he's dead, and the wife could remarry. Why? Because throwing someone in a pit of snakes is tantamount to killing biyadayim. It's not 90% they're going to die. It's not 98%. It's not 99%. It's 1,000% impossible for anyone to survive.
Any snakes? Any snake?
A pit of snakes. A pit of snakes. Right? Because in a pit, we're not dealing with garden snakes. We're dealing with poisonous snakes. Nechashim akrabim. Right? The Gemara says in Masechta Tamid, I believe, that if you throw someone, Gemara in Masechta Shabbos says that if you throw someone to a pit, you could testify that the person died. So what exactly was the big hatzalah that Ruvain said, oh, I have a great idea, let's throw him into a pit of snakes? Right? It's brought, look at number 7, from the Sefer Tam Vadas of Rav Moshe Sternbuch. Tamua, how could he throw him to a pit of snakes and scorpions? You could testify that somebody died if they fell into a pit of snakes. You could allow the wife to remarry. Ruvain's advice was not a life-saving advice, it was murder. So you thought, you're going to come here today, you're not going to hear anything about Chanukah. No, Chas v'Shalom. Says the Gemara Masechta Shabbos, look at number 6. Amar, Rav Kahana, Darash, Rav Nasan Bar Menyumi, Mishmei Rav Tanchum. Ner shel Chanukah, the Chanukah licht. Shehinicha lamala mechaf ama. If you put Ner Chanukah higher than 20 amos, psula, it's puzzle. Kesukah, just like a sukkah can't be higher than 20 amos, ukemavoy, and a mavoy can't be high. Right? So you have 3 halachos of items that cannot be higher than 20 amos. Chanukah, sukkah, and mavoy. What does the pasuk mean in this week's Parsha? Right, once it says the pit is empty, don't I know there's no water? Right, the pasuk is repetitive. It says the haborek, it's empty. Ein by mayim. There's no water. Obviously, if it's empty, there's no water. So when you have the double negative, what does that teach you? Teaches you ein miyod achar miyod ella l'rabois. What's the riboy? Ella matam and loymar ein by mayim ein by aval nechashim ve'akrabim yeshma. There are snakes and scorpions. So one simple question. This is Masechta Shabbos Chaf Alpha and Beis Perik Ba'Mem Adlikin. Does anybody know what those few blot are about? Chanukah. My Chanukah. The TorahAnytime. What do the snakes and scorpions and the pit of Yosef got to do with the sugya of Chanukah? What's it doing there? Because Amar Rav Kahana, Darash Rav Nasim, Shed Rav Tancham. It's the same opinion, it's the same name. So what, we're going to bring everything he said? I'm sure, I guarantee you he said other things also. We're not quoting everything he ever said over there in the Gemara and Chanukah. Why? What's the juxtaposition in the Shas of the din of Ner Chanukah cannot be more than 20 amos, and the pit of Yosef had snakes and scorpions? Says the Vilna Gaon, quoted by Rav Sternbach, you know what the connection is? There is a direct connection. Does the pasuk say they put him in the pit? No. What does it say? They threw him, Vayashlichu. And we learned in the summer, in Masechta Tamid, the first parak, what's the definition of throwing? 20 amos. 20 amos. You cannot, it does not considered halachically throwing less than 20 amos. An amma is, according to Chazon, is about 2 feet. 24 inches, right? 40 feet. So that means they threw him into a pit. How big was the pit? Approximately 40 feet. So the question is, how could they throw him to a pit of snakes and scorpions? They were killing him. You know what the answer is? They didn't know what was in the pit. What do you mean they didn't know? They didn't see? No. You can't see more than 20 amos. The same way we just said that a Ner Chanukah that's higher than 20 amos is puzzle. Why, if a Ner Chanukah is higher than 20 amos, is a Ner Chanukah puzzle? Nobody's looking 40 feet up in the air. Normally when people are walking, they're minding their own business. Something catches, but 40 feet up in the air, nobody's looking that tall. That's why a sukkah is puzzle more than 40 feet. A Chanukah's and a mavoi. Says Rab Kahana, now I understand how the brothers could throw Yosef into the pit. Why? Because it says, Vayashlichu, they threw him. The definition of throwing is 20 amos. How could they throw him? There were snakes and scorpions. The answer is they couldn't see. What do you mean they couldn't see? The answer is because you don't see more than 20 amos up or more than 20 amos down. That's the connection, says the Vilna Gaon.
If they could see and they took him out and he was still alive, they would say he's a tzaddik. Then they wouldn't sell him. So the fact that they threw him and the pasuk calls it they saved him. Why? How did they save him by throwing? The answer is they didn't know what he was doing in the pit. Look in number 7. Mafarsh Rabbeinu Hagrazal Api Hagamar Shabbos Darsh Rav Nazar Tancham Shener Chanukah Shnich Lamal Mesmam Psula Kesuka Kamava Shlashot Shama Ayin. And then afterwards the Gemara brings down the memra of a Habar Reikein by Mayim the Chashmak Ram Yesh Boy. Mafarish Hagra Hasmichos. The Gemara explains what's the juxtaposition. She'en hashlacha ela esr mama. The definition of throwing is 20 amos. Like we learned in Masechta Tamid Parak Aleph. V'zehu she'shlichu oisai el bar esr mama kishir hashlacha. They couldn't see what was doing, and therefore they did not see nechashim ba'akrabim.
They didn't know how deep it was.
Maybe they knew how deep it was, but they didn't see what was doing in the pit. They thought v'habarek.
Wouldn't you expect a 40-foot drop to kill him?
Sure.
Fell on top of snakes and cushion him.
That was the moment.
שואל טוב.
There you're asking it.
No, it's a good question.
40 feet, it's
He hit the wall.
too deep.
Okay, 1 second. Maybe it was, an incline. He rolled down. I don't know. But let's take a look at the pasuk. The habar reik ein by mayim. Says the Gra. Excuse me. Habayra, right? Vayikachu, vayashlichu, I say habayra. The word habayra is missing a letter. It's missing a vav. Spelled hey, beis, reish, hey. It's missing a vav. So it points out the Vilna Gaon that they thought the pit was mamish missing. It was empty completely. They thought vayashlichu, I say habayra. They thought they were throwing him to an empty pit. No, says the Torah, no, v'haborek. The pit was with the vav. Ein by mayim. There was no water, but it did have snakes and scorpions.
So what is the vav?
They threw him into what they thought was habayra, without the vav. The vav is the worm, the snake. They thought they were throwing him into habayra, without the vav, completely empty. But
says the Torah is meyed, v'habarek. The pit was empty, but aim by mayim, there's no water, but there were nechashim ma'akrabim. Okay, so now we get to the main theme of today's shiur, which is quite an interesting thought, and that is, let us contrast Reuven, Yehuda, and Shimon and Levi. Reuven, the Bechar, he thinks he's the Bechar, yeah? But he's interested in saving Yosef. Interesting. He feels a connection to Yosef. Yehuda, how about Yehuda? Yehuda tries to do his best. He says, Ma betza achinu b'sarenuhu. He tries his best to save Yosef. How about Shimon and Levi? Shimon and Levi, do they try to save Yosef?
No.
No, they try to kill
Kill
Yosef.
him.
But they're interested in a different sibling. Who do they have interest in? Dinah. Dinah goes out. Shimon and Levi are the first ones. They destroy they're ready to make World War III just to save their sister.
Murderers.
Yosef! Kill the guy. Kill the guy. They couldn't care less about Yosef, but Dinah will do anything to save Dinah. Reuven, does he go out to help Dinah?
No.
No, not a word about Dinah. Yehuda?
No.
Nothing about Dinah. But Yosef? My brother Yosef. It's very interesting, right? Reuven and Yehuda, they're all into Yosef. Couldn't care less about Dinah. Shimon and Levi, they're on to Dinah. Couldn't care less about Yosef. What exactly, how do we explain this? How do we explain this? What is this machlokes based on? You know what it's based on? Before I give you the clue, look at number 13 for a minute. Number 13, where we have the drush of Yehuda. Vayomer Yehuda el Echav. Yehuda said to his brothers, Ma betza, what gain is there? Ki naharog es achinu, for us to kill our brothers, achisinu as damai. L'chu menim kren alai shmeilim. Let's go sell him to the Arabs. V'yadeinu al tehibai. Let's not send our hand forth against him. Ki achinu, he's our brother. Bisarenuhu, he's our flesh. Very unusual expression. Why is Yehuda all of a sudden he's being poetic? He's our flesh. What is that supposed to mean? He's our flesh.
This relate to a previous shiur that you gave, the connection between Dinah and Yosef, that he started with Leah, maybe?
Okay, we're going to see about that. I threw that in. I threw in a clue in an earlier shiur. Rabbi Sai, very interesting. We know that this expression of Bisarenu this is the third time it's used in the Torah. When Adam Harishon saw Chava, he said what? Ki etzem me'atzamai ubasar mi basari. A bone from my bone, flesh from my flesh.
Right.
We know when Lavan and Yaakov were talking, he said in Parak Chavtes, Pasuk Yud Yodalet, what did Lavan say to Yaakov? He said, Vayomer Lavan, Ach atzmi uvasari ata. You're my bone, you're my flesh. So Adam says to Chava, Etzem me'atzamai, basar mi basari. Lavan says, Atzmi uvasari. Yehuda says, Achinu bisarenu. He only mentions the basar. He doesn't say anything about the etzem.
That was literally true.
Yeah. So what are these expressions in the Torah? Bones, flesh. I mean, we know that the Torah is not just a book of poetry. It has to have real halachic meaning. What is this expression that Yehuda is saying, we can't kill him, he's our basar? Okay. So Reb Stephen is reminding us that we mentioned from the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel that Yosef and Dinah had very interesting beginnings. What does that mean? If you look at number 10, it says that after Leah had 6 boys, it says, V'achar yolda bas, and then she bore a daughter. Well, don't you conceive before you give birth? By all the other shvatim, it says, Vatahar, she conceived, Vatelet, she gave birth. And by Dinah, it doesn't say she conceived. It just says she gave birth. It says the Torah, that's because Leah never conceived Dinah.
Leah never conceived Dinah. Leah conceived Yosef. Rashi brings this down. I'm not telling you any chidushim. Right? Rashi brings down Leah was about to have a seventh son. And Leah made the following din. She said, if I have 7 boys, and Bilhah has 2, and Zilpah has 2, that only leaves 1 for Rachel. So Rachel's not even going to have as many sons as Bilhah and Zilpah. She's going to feel bad. So therefore, she was done din ba'atzma. Rachel was having Dinah. Leah was having Yosef. And they were switched. So Rachel conceived Dinah, gave birth to Yosef. Leah conceived Yosef, gave birth to Dinah. That's why when Dinah was born by Leah, it says, V'achar yolda ba. She gave birth, but she never conceived her.
Why was it switched? I don't understand why it was switched.
Because now Leah is only going to have 6 boys and 1 girl. And now Rachel could have 2 boys like the other mitzvahs. By the way, that's why the Mefarshim write that because Yosef basically grew up in a girl's room. And Dinah grew up in the boys' room. So that's why Leah, Vateitze Leah. Leah is very outgoing. She's going out to see what's doing. Vateitze Dinah. Vateitze Dinah. She grew up in Yosef's room. She had some of the Chidah writes this. She had some of the characteristics of a boy. Yosef was Mesalsel B'sarai. He grew up in the girls. That's what the Chidah says. I'm not saying it. But Yaakov Kamenetsky writes the same thing. But he takes it even further. But that's what it means. V'yachar yolda bas. Because Leah bore Dinah, but she didn't conceive Dinah. Right? That's what the Targum Yonasan Ben Uziel writes explicitly. Look at number 9. That Leah davened to Ribbanu Shalom. It's not going to be fair to Rachel for her only to have 1 son. The babies, the children, were exchanged in utero. Vayeishev Yosef b'mad Rachel. Yosef was placed in Rachel's womb. V'Dina b'mad Leah. And Dinah was placed in Leah's womb. So in today's day and age, we have a halachic shaila of surrogate motherhood. You have one mother conceiving the child, but cannot carry the child to full term. The doctors will take out the fertilized egg and place it into a host mother. Who's the mother? Is it the mother who conceived the child, or the mother who hosted the child? Or both? Or none? Or is the kid a mamzer? It's a big shaila. You know who argues about this? It's a machlokes Shimon and Levi against Reuven and Yehuda. Not modern day poskim. Modern day poskim also. Modern day poskim. Says the Chassam Sofer, it was a machlokes Shimon and Levi against Reuven and Yehuda.
That's a chiddush.
Reuven Yehuda.
Reuven and Yehuda on one side, and Shimon Levi. Reuven says, Yosef, me and you have the same mother. Why? Because Leah conceived you. And I paskin, the mother is the mother of conception. That's why I maintain, I'm still the Bechar from Leah. You're the 7th son. Why do you think Reuven wanted Yosef to be his brother? He's the Bechar. You're the 7th boy, I'm the 1st boy. That's why I'll do anything to save my baby brother. I'll do anything. Dinah? Who's Dinah? Rachel's daughter. What do I have to do with her?
You mean Reuben had ulterior motive?
No, I'm just pointing out. The Chassam Sofer says that Reuven considered himself the Bechar. We can't say exactly, he did it for that motive, but he maintained he was the Bechar. Dinah, you ever find Reuven interested in Dinah? What does Reuven got to do with Dinah? Right? It's like he's invited to his 7th cousin's chasana. I have enough chasanas in my immediate family. Reuven said, I have to go bother with Dinah? Who's Dinah? Yehuda says, Yosef, you're my baby brother. I have to save you, my betzah. But Dinah, who's Dinah? Because Reuven and Yehuda paskind, who's the mother of conception, not the mother of birth. So Leah conceived you, Yosef. Reuven and Yehuda paskind, Yosef, you're my brother. Shimon and Levi said, what are you talking about? The mother is not the mother of conception. The mother is the mother of birth.
Rachel.
Yosef. Who gave birth to Yosef? Rachel. Get out of here, Yosef. You're starting up with us? You're trying to take... You're going to be our king? Who do you think you are? You're an outsider.
You're not from our mother. You're from Rachel. We hold, Shimon and Levi held, the mother is the mother of birth. But Dinah, you're my sister. Why? But Rachel conceived Dinah. Nah. But Leah gave birth to Dinah. Says the Chassam Sofer. All the episodes in the Chumash are based on this machlokes. Who's the mother? Is the mother of conception, or is the mother of birth? By the way, I'll just add, we spoke this out very quickly, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, that the Chassam Sofer writes in Parshas Vayeishev, in the name of the Sefer Tiv Gittin, in the name of a Mekubal, and he doesn't say who the Mekubal is, that when the babies were switched, they were not switched completely. In other words, sometimes, when you swap rooms with somebody, sometimes you leave over some of you accidentally forget your toothbrush behind, the other guy forgets a pair of socks. Yosef started off in the womb of Leah. Dinah started off in the womb of Rachel. If you look into Tehillim, the Yom of Yom Chamishi, Eidos Vayeishev. Some might say, what do you mean Vayeishev? Who's Yosef? His name is Yosef. Where did the hay come from? And why is Dinah's name Dinah? Rashi says she made a din. Leah made a din, so she should be called Din. Says the Tiv Gittin, Yosef's name was not Yosef. His name was Yehoisef with a hay. Dinah's name was not Dinah. Her name was Din. But when they got switched, when the Malach switched, he left the hay. Yosef didn't take everything with him. He left the suitcase back in Leah's womb. What was that? The suitcase, the hay. And Dinah chapped the hay from Yehoisef. Din became Dinah. Yosef lost his hay. But la'asad lavai, because Leah went out and she acted inappropriately, and Yosef controlled himself with Eishes Potiphera, Yosef will get the hay back. Okay, that's what the Chassam Sofer quotes. In the name of the Tiv Gittin, in the name of Mekubal Echad. So that's very interesting. That really piques my curiosity. Who is this Mekubal Echad? That the Chassam Sofer is not saying who he is. So if you look up the Sefer Tiv Gittin, he quotes in the name of Rav Levi Yitzchak of Bardichev, that the Tiv Gittin quotes halacha l'maisa in terms of spelling names, that this is what happened. But this is all a result of this switch, the great switch. So now we come to an amazing thing. Every human being has 3 partners who creates them. Bani Shalom, father, mother. What does each partner contribute? God contributes the neshama. What does the father contribute? What does the mother contribute? The father contributes the white, loiven shabai, the white, the bones, the teeth. The mother contributes the blood, the red, the flesh. So Lavan turns to Yaakov and he says, Atzmi uvisariata. You're my bones, you're my flesh. You know what Yaakov meant? You know what Lavan meant? We're related both mitzad ha'av and mitzad ha'em. Because we know Lavan was the son of Besuel. Besuel was the son of Nachar. And Nachar is who? Avram's brother. So Lavan is saying, I'm related to you, Atzmi, from my father's side. And of course I'm related from my mother's side. Because who's Lavan's mother? Who's Lavan's sister? Rivka. So we're related both mitzad ha'av and mitzad ha'em. So atzmi uvisari. It's not a poetic way of speaking. Lavan is not being a poet. Lavan is saying, Yaakov, we're related halachically atzmi mitzad ha'av, bisari mitzad ha'em. So if you were Yehuda and you were arguing to the brothers why we have to save Yosef, what would you argue? They know already. We know already. They know already that Yosef has the same father as them. What point, if you're Yehuda, do you want to hit on the head why we have to save Yosef? Don't you know the halacha is that it goes after the mother of conception? Conception? Achinu bisareinu. He's also our flesh. We do have the same mother. Says the Meshech Chachma. That's the Meshech. You don't have it on the sheet.
So Rachel, she was Rachel.
In other words, no, Yehuda's talking to the other brothers. He's saying, Yosef's Bisarenu. Why? Because Leah conceived. So this lashon of B'sareinu is not just a poetic language; it's a halachic argument. The argument is, in halacha, you follow the mother of conception.
Conception.
Is that halakha l'masha?
No. That's I'm not. This,
That's interesting.
whatever we discuss should not be taken halacha l'maisa.
Oy vavoy, it will be like this. It will be the-
Look.
Two goyim conceive, and the Jewish two goyim conceive, and a Jewish mother gives birth. Is the kid Jewish or not? That's
Host mothership is a very complicated thing, but it's interesting how you see the Mefarshim learn that the machlokes between Ruvain, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda was based on these possibilities. Look at number 11. It's very interesting. Chassam Sofer writes. It says when Dina was born, Bateitze Dina Bas Leah, Asher Yolda Yaakov. When it talks about Dina, it talks about the Leda. Loimar Shehaleda Hayalaleah. The Leda was to Leah. Avaloi Ha'irayin. Ki harasa b'Yosef. Leah conceived Yosef. V'nischalich achar kach Dina b'Yosef. V'alkein loy nilcham Ruvain avor Dina. That is why Ruvain never fought for Dina. You know why? Ki chashav Oysa bas Rachel. Because Rachel conceived Dina. Amnam Shimon v'Levi ache Dina. Heim chashvu Oysa la'achoysa me'imam. Because they followed what? Basar Leda v'lo Ha'irayin. Shimon and Levi followed the Leda. But Ruvain did not consider Yosef the Bechar because Ruvain followed the Leda. Right? Ruvain followed, the Hirayon. Okay. Let's just add one small little topic before we come to the grand finale. Okay. The beginning of the Parsha, Vayeishev Yaakov, V'yeretz Megurei Aviv, and the famous words of Rashi, Vayeishev Yaakov, Bikesh Yaakov, Leishev, Bishalva. Yaakov wanted to live in peace. Bishalva. In tranquility. Says the Gemara in Brachos, Daf Samach Daled Amud Aleph, when you leave your friend, don't say Leich Bishalayim. Don't say Leich Bishalayim. You should say Leich Lishalayim. Because Yisro told Moshe Leich Lishalayim, and what happened? He was successful. And David told Avshalom Leich Bishalayim, and he was killed. So Lishalayim is a good salutation. Bishalayim, that ain't too good. What's the difference? Who cares? Le, bi, le, it's all the same. So, the Yeshua's Malkai, the Yeshua Melakutna, brings down in Likutei Torah, he says, you know what the difference is? The difference is, when I say Lech Bishalem, go in peace, that implies you have already achieved completion. You have already achieved Shlemos. You and Shlemos are hand in hand. Bishalem, you're already there. You're already there. There's a lot left to do in life. The only time you're already there is when you're lying horizontal in the dirt. That's the only time you're already there. So if you tell someone Lech Bishalem, with peace, with Shlemos, that's a signal that his end is near. When you tell someone Lech Lishalem, go to peace, you're telling them to constantly be striving toward peace. That means you still have a lot left to accomplish. You should accomplish all that you set out to.
A lot more to accomplish.
Right, a lot more to accomplish. So Lech Lishalem means go to peace. You still have so much that you could accomplish in your life. Bishalem means you've made it. Says Rabbi Shmuel Akutna, Yaakov Avinu thought that after he already experienced Tsaras Dina, Tsaras Lavan, Tsaras Esav, he figures God won't test him anymore. That's it. He already did whatever he needs to do in this world. Bikesh Yaakov Leishev. Bishalva. Like Bishalem. Yaakov thought he had already accomplished everything he needed to in this world. So Rebbe Shem said, no, there's one more thing you need to overcome. Kafatz olav rugzai shel Yosef. You have one more test to accomplish. Yaakov, Bikesh Yaakov Leishev, not Lishalva. He wasn't striving. He thought he had already overcome all the nisyonos. Bikesh Yaakov Leishev, Bishalva. So Rebbe Shem said, you have one more test. So Kafatz olav rugzai shel Yosef. Says the Vilna Gaon, now we understand in the beginning of the Parsha, it says the brothers did not like Yosef. They couldn't speak to him peacefully. What does it say in Pasuk Daled? V'layachlu dabroi l'shalom. They couldn't give that wonderful greeting to Yosef, Lech l'shalom. They wanted to tell him, Lech b'shalom. Fartik, finished with you. They wanted to tell him, Lech b'shalom, says the Gra. What couldn't they do? V'layachlu dabroi l'shalom. Okay.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.